Wow, good morning, Team 333. Wow. Just give me a minute for the butterflies, just to kind of all going to sync together. Absolutely phenomenal. Can you put Lucinda's mic on? Check your mic.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Perfect. There we go. Guys, to think that our first event that we had was a year ago at the Hub in Four Ways. We had 150 people. Today we've got over 300 people here today.
Well done.
Well done. Today we're making history, and I want to applaud every single one of you for taking the time out of your busy lives, your busy schedules, and being here today to completely transform your life and change the trajectory of your life. But everybody sitting here, I can feel it. I can tell straight away.
Oh, sure.
Are not 100% normal sheep, right? Do we please raise your hands. Do we have any black sheep in the house tonight? Okay.
That, right?
We're talking to our tribe. We're talking to our tribe. So you've got an idea when I talk about a black sheep being different. At any point in your life, did you ever think you're different?
Well done.
Did family members ever say to you when you were younger, stop being so different?
So difficult.
Fit in with your siblings. Fit in with the rest of the family. We've always been told to conform and to fit in.
Yeah.
Some of you might have noticed today. Some of you might not have noticed today.
And I did give him the go-ahead.
Right.
It wasn't due to a lack of sleep.
Some people came up this morning and said, you didn't sleep much last night, did you? I reckon, why? You got different colored shoes on. I was like, really? When it comes to being different, why did I put two different colored shoes on? You're either awake or you're either asleep. And that's what I'm going to say it directly. That's what we're dealing with outside there in the real world. You guys aren't sitting here by accident.
Yeah.
You are here today for a reason.
You are chosen.
You are chosen. Nothing is by accident. Nothing
Let
is
that
by accident.
sink in for a minute.
So when you're talking to people out there, has anybody shared some information with somebody, or you've spoken to somebody, and they come back to you and say, you've just answered my prayers. This is exactly what I've been looking for. I get this.
See all the heads
I get it. Because we're talking about frequency.
Correct.
We're talking about frequency. And that's how George got my attention. You guys all know he sent me 21 messages before he got my attention. But when George mentioned the word frequency, that is when everything changed. Now I want to take everybody down a little bit of a journey. I want you to think right now, what were you doing 30 years ago? I know it's quite far back, 30 years ago, 1995. Go back in your mind's eye. What were you doing? What job were you doing? Where were you in your life? Were you in a good place? Were you in a bad place? Think about where you were. Lucinda, where were you 30 years ago? What were you doing with your life?
That's a while back, right? I had to think about this. I was traveling the world. I was working, saving up like crazy just to go on the next trip. And in my 20s, that's basically what I did. And I explored the world and I just learned. After I finished school, I was sort of in between two worlds, and I realized I probably don't want to go studying, so my life took a whole different course. So that's what I did when I was 25.
Right, well...
And what did you do?
I was a bit younger. I was 21. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I got my first job in the corporate world. I was studying marketing, and at the same time, I was working in a restaurant in the evening. So you can just imagine working during the day, climbing the corporate ladder, working in the evening, and in between that, trying to get the studies done. And in between that, I got my marketing diploma. Then let's fast forward. 25 years. That was in the year 2000. What were you doing, Angel?
That was a bit of a sad moment. I opened a business, and within the first few weeks I saw, this is going to collapse. Let me call it a day and close down. But lots of lessons were learned in that time. What were you doing, my love?
First of all, think about what you were doing in the year 2000. Remember in 1999, when it came to like October, November, man, oh man, did we go wild because we thought the world was going to come to an end. Party like it was 1999. In the year 2000, I was in the corporate world. That's when I joined my first network marketing company at the age of 23 years old. Wet behind the ears, green behind the ears, didn't have a clue what I was doing. Guys, I come from old school. Flip charts, drawing circles. There's no such thing as Zooms and PowerPoints, that type of thing. And that's when I tasted what the network marketing industry can give you. A different type of financial freedom and a very different type of time freedom. Let's move on to 20 years ago, 2005. Think about what were you guys doing in 2005? That was 20 years ago. Angel, what were you doing in 2005?
My retail business was born. It was exciting, it was daunting, it was new, it was foreign. I was building a brand. I was putting every ounce of my energy into it. I was looking at business plans. It was an exciting, exhilarating, and scary time. And you, my love, what were you doing 20 years ago?
Things happen in your life. Catalysts. My father passed away in 2005 at the age of 56. My father died young of alcoholism. Alcoholism was something that was running in the family. That was in the July 07, 07, 05. My father passed away. Then, in September, my daughter was born, my second child. So I've got a pigeon pair, I've got a boy, and 2 years later came my daughter. What I was doing for a living at that stage, I was a commission-only sales rep selling security doors. I went out of the network marketing industry, not by choice, but because that company that we were with, the owner of the company passed away, and it was a small company and didn't have systems in place. The children came in and they ran it into the ground within 9 months. So I went out of the industry and then I went into direct sales, selling security doors. Then 15 years ago, so we're talking 2010, my angel, what happened in your life?
So my business was up and running, and it was like running after a toddler. And do I need to say more? It was work from eyes open to eyes closed, lots of highs, lots of lows, and super exciting. And you?
Okay. Now things get crazy. 15 years ago, 2010, in January, it was my little brother's bachelor's party. He was going to get married. And at his bachelor's party went wrong. My brother died at his bachelor's party. He drowned to death at his bachelor's party. I went a little bit Fruit Loop. Let's just say I hit the alcohol hard, very hard. On the 10th of May, 2010, I booked myself into rehab, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I spent 21 days in rehab. After that, I got into the recovery program. Those of you that might not have seen my tattoo, that's the 10th of May, 2010. Last month, I celebrated 15 years sober. But I learned so much in that process. We talk about meetings, coming onto Zooms, going to a physical meeting, and a person says, I don't have time, I've got kids, my work, all the excuses. I did 90 meetings in 90 days as I went out of rehab. And then I did another 90 after that. I did 362 AA meetings in 365 days. I missed 3 meetings in a year. And that's where I learned the disciplines. Because here we're talking about survival. For me, with my family, I come from a lineage of alcoholics. I had to be very, very careful. Both my grandparents, my grandfathers died at a young age, and I had to nip it in the bud, because for me, to drink is to die. It was all about survival. All right, 10 years ago, 2015.
So here my business was starting to grow, expand, thrive. We were looking at putting up shops, online stores, new product lines. So it was super exciting, expansion and growth. And I was still learning every day. And you, my love?
Well, things changed a little bit there. Second marriage, blended family, started my children's toy company that I turned into an international toy brand. Let's jump to 5 years ago. I think we can all remember.
We all know what happened 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The world changed forever. The retail space, my clothing business would never be the same. Early on, I was excited because we had some time off. For me, that meant a lot. Having a month of just staying home and not having to go anywhere, and then reality set in. If I'm not there and I'm not running the business, as nice as it is to have downtime, there's no money coming in. Everything stands still. So early on, the signs were on the wall, and I had to make a call, and I had to make changes, and it wasn't easy. This was my baby child. I said I would die, or I would do this till the day I die. I used to talk about Coco Chanel, where she was still cutting as a seamstress, basically on her deathbed. And I said that would be me and my business one day. So it was a hard call. But my baby child was 20 years old, and I had to let it go to open up for new opportunities. And you, my love?
2020. We all know that was right in the middle of the pandemic. And I did say pandemic. The world changed. The world changed in 2020. They tried to divide us. They tried to keep us apart. But you know what? They didn't realize that humans rose up, and we all stood together as communities. That's what they didn't expect. Turning point for everybody. But it's brought everybody closer together. 3.5 years ago...
I know what happened then.
What happened?
I met my prince.
Here we go. And life changed. Life completely transformed. What were you guys doing 3.5 years ago? Fast forward 2.5 years is when everything completely changed.
Thank you, LifeWave.
This all happened 2.5 years ago. We started with LifeWave, back against the wall. I don't know if there's anybody sitting here today that knows what it feels like to just have no direction, back against the wall, not knowing what to do with your life. And my goodness gracious, what a journey. Lucinda and I would watch David Schmidt on the screen and think, you know, that's for other people to meet David Schmidt. We're just down in South Africa, we little people. It's all about mindset. And we thought we would never get to meet this man. And we did. End of last year, at the 20-year annual convention, we met David Schmidt in person. And all we did was we started crying.
Yeah. We always thought, like, what would we say to him when we were standing in front of him? And in the moment, I'm so grateful that we decided not to even speak. Because that was a moment of deep connection and energy that no words can explain.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
We had tears in the eyes. You know what, David
And if
Schmidt...
you ever get to meet him, that's what I would advise. Just zip it, feel it, take it in. He is magic.
And you know what David Schmidt said to Lucinda and I? He said, thank you for what you're doing for your country. That's what David Schmidt said to us.
I was told afterwards that I got the biggest hug on stage, and apparently nobody else got. And I'm like, I need to go watch that footage.
A month ago, that was Lucinda and I on top of the world. We were on top of the world.
Yeah.
The Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. A dream that we always had. which we made reality. So what have we learned over the last 2.5 years? We're going to quickly go through, in the next 3-4 minutes, a couple of tips that we want to share with you. Number one, the Pareto principle. Always remember the Pareto principle. That's the 80-20 rule. You register 10 people into the business. Guys, only 2 are going to be the ones that are going to do this with or without you and plug in. People are in different processes, and people will get connected when they are ready. But as long as you understand those numbers, that completely changes everything.
Realistic expectations. So you guys know that Chris was a 5-day patch wonder. For me, it took 7.5 weeks. And we always remind people to have realistic expectations when it comes to their healing journey on their patches. Give your body the time and space so that patches can do what they need to do. They are very wise. They know where to go. So rest assured. And we're going to find beautiful ways to explain it. So just make peace with the fact. Don't think you need to know everything before you can start. Just take that first step.
Put people before profit.
Yeah.
Always remember this one.
This is a powerful one.
If you put the person first, the money will follow. Don't try to chase the money. Because the more you try to chase the money, the more the money is going to run away.
Yeah.
Put people first. Cut the line. There's a story about a marlin. You'll know what a marlin looks like. A marlin, if a fisherman catches a marlin, it can take up to 12 hours to reel it in. The last 5 minutes, you've got a 90% chance the marlin actually breaks free. So what the fisherman makes a decision in the morning. They know they've caught a marlin. What they do is they rather cut the line sooner rather than later so they can catch more fish during the course of that day.
Because they have to feed their families tonight. If they hold on to the marlin and it breaks at the end, there's no fish for dinner. IPAs.
30 seconds.
So this is a fun one. I often have to remind Chris and say, is this an income-producing activity or are you playing around? So I hold him accountable. We now have a sign, like all the other signs and affirmations on our boards. At the coffee machine, he has a sign that says, is this an IPA? So when he makes the coffee, when he brushes his teeth, he literally can't see himself.
I get excited, guys. I get like overexcited. Lucinda's got to reel me in. I think you guys can see that. Okay, so say less to more people. Facts tell, stories sell, and lastly, give fishing rods, not fish. And then, in closing off, our first part, our most exciting, our current book of 2025 New York Times bestseller is called Let Them. And I just want to read this one line over here. This is in the glossary, a chapter. The more you rescue, the more they sink. The more you rescue, the more they sink. Sometimes we want to help people more than they want to help themselves. So always keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys back on stage a little bit later.